Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Abolition 101 with Louisville Community Bail Fund. I'm going to kick it over to Chanel, who's going to get us started.
Hey y'all, how's everybody doing today? Did y'all know it was snowing outside? That's extremely depressing. One. Um, but this is the second round of our Abolition 101 series that we'll be doing, jumping off the beginning of this year. Again, we thought this was very much appropriate given the atmosphere of last year. Also, really trying to help folks understand how repressive and extremely oppressive prison system actually is, a $700 billion system. So we've got Hakeem, one of our folks with us, handles a lot of our, well, Hakeem can tell what he does. We try not to give too many titles. And then, of course, Shelton is always doing something. Last time he was out in the woods, and now, Lord, where he is in other territories, Jesus. So we got a few people that are coming on, and then we'll have some more community members join us later. I think we have a video too, just to highlight how important it is to make sure that we defund from the criminal justice system and put them in places that prevent a lot of what it is that we're trying to create. So, Shelton, are you able to talk yet?
Yeah, I am. I'm able to talk. Yeah, thanks, Chanel. I'm out here on the grind. Part of what we've been doing at LCBF is keeping folks, you know, connected, connected to the opportunity to use their hands and learn new skills and gain opportunities of employment. And we believe that that's the alternative. That's the opposite of what the punitive criminal justice system is designed to do. If in any way they steal people's employment and pay people 75 cents a day to do jobs that are high level skilled craft jobs. And so I'm just honored to be able to be getting some paintbrushes and some buckets and getting ready to just what's been redesigned. I mean, part of abolition, when you take something away, nature abhors a void, and so immediately something else has to take its place. And part of the work that we're designing is to create the alternative as community-led, community-driven opportunities of advancement. And anybody that comes to the space, anybody that we've bailed out, they decide what they want to participate in. Like we got folks that want to be barbers. I know Hakeem has talked a lot about leading youth in music production and really using those kind of skills. So that's what I'm doing right now. But that's not what specifically I'm on here to talk about today. I just really want to ground us in, what brings us to this space, right? So we know that 1619, a handful of our ancestors were stolen and incarcerated and put into captivity and imprisonment. And we believe that that's still happening today. That a system that's completely designed only to do such to us. And if you need an example, look at the events that just occurred at the Capitol, and you'll see the stark contrast in how policing exists for one people and not for the other. And if you want to debate those two, we're willing to debate with you. But I think it's a clear example of how polar opposite policing is for one group and yet another. And I think that contemporary moment really catapults us and builds off of the historical context of what happened in 1619 and how we actually got here to this point where we have a punitive criminal justice system that is solely designed. Yes, I admit white folks get caught up in that system. It would almost be like if you dropped anthrax down on top of a community, but you're purposely intending to drop that anthrax down on Tulsa or on any numerous black communities Philadelphia. Uh, will some people in the residing neighborhoods be affected? Yes, and that's I think that's the part that people are like, well, what do you mean this thing was solely designed to arrest and persecute and create a whole entire caste system in place of what was formerly the system of enslavement? Because there's white people in there too, right? And poor white people, right? And so my response to you is yes, just like if you drop a nuclear bomb, it's going to spread and capture other people. And the unfortunate part about racism is it destroys white people as well. It destroys white people in so many ways. The suicide rates of white people, the drug use of white people, because if you have a system that's solely designed for your advancement and you're not successful, that's going to make you a highly volatile person, and that's going to destroy you from the inside out. And that system is designed to persecute black and brown people and to put us at the bottom of the caste. And so we at super high rates are in the prison systems. You know, there's been numbers of black men, 1 out of 4 are going to come into contact with law enforcement. I mean, imagine that, 1 out of 4. And that's what we're fighting against. The fact that we can't go to the convenience store and get Arizona iced tea and Skittles without being potentially the victim of homicide by a non-official security person. That's the world we live in. I like what my homie Dorsey Nunn said. He said, hey, I don't care if my son ain't going to the store to get a can of Arizona tea and Skittles. If he's going to the store to get a 40 ounce and a pack of blunts, he still has a right to come home, right? He still has a right to come home. We don't deserve to be killed and destroyed as if we're non essential. We do matter, and I'll pass it back to my colleagues and comrades, Chanel and Hakeem.
Do we want to go ahead and show the video and then maybe Hakeem can come back? All right, that would be dope. All right, y'all.
We're back from the video, which sort of, I'm not sure if the audio played, but I did drop the link for it in the comment section. Everyone should check it out. It laid out sort of the history of where policing came from and how it impacts protesting and other cases today.
Awesome. And then I want to remind people, we can probably find those links too, to definitely check out 13 on Netflix. And we're going to gather a bunch of links to the different pieces to watch. The reason is there's a lot of folks that are doing this work that are in those pieces and want you to familiarize yourself with them. We'll be gathering them to come on the show, also book list and everything, so that people can really get an understanding as to how they vicariously pay for a system that is keeping people entrapped in it, so they can return, or that they stay entrapped and we get money from that. So Hakeem, did you have a few words before we get to the next piece?
Nah, I'm tuned in. Nah.
Hakeem, so Shelton mentioned earlier that you were doing some things with, was it music and recording with
Oh,
folks that we've been working with? You want to talk about that maybe?
well,
I'm
that's just
curious,
something that I
please.
want to do. Okay. No, it's just something that I want to do. I want to be a music engineer. So just something that I guess once I learn it and everything, it's just something. It's a way for me to give back to the community and work with the youth um, through the music. That's really how it is.
Are you able to like detail what you're doing? We want you to just speak on like the work that you're doing, and then I'm gonna call in Ebony to have her join.
Talking about the work that I'm that I'm doing now, as far as
Yeah.
well, right now we trying to figure out how to say. Um, well, like today, we actually had got some of the guys that's been bailed out through little community bail fund. We actually went to the ranch and just trying to stay busy, active, cleaned out the barn and um, just finding little jobs to stay out of trouble, stay out the way.
Yeah, Hakeem is shy. Anyway, they are very vital to our the work that we do, getting things to our community members, but also stepping in and picking up work where people have maybe dropped off, especially contractors or other folks, and being able to talk to other people in the same similar situation. We've been able to work in a bunch of folks who want keep out funds, and keep outs are where we pay fines and fees before people have to go to court to prevent them from going to court, helping them with lawyer fees and stuff. And so of course Corona has knocked out a bunch of people from working, and Hakeem is able to talk to them while they're doing their work, but just also just dig out with them and like let them know, that we can build support with each other and be able to like make a new possible world, right? So he's shy, but we're trying to get Hakeem there so he can talk just like he talks to the guys and stuff. So that this shows you the power to not underestimating people. And we're really thankful for him. Also works at Black Market. So if you haven't been to Black Market yet, you definitely need to go check that out. Um, I'm going to see if one of our mama's bailouts can hit us up. She had some good news today and called me. And I'm sending her the link right now so she can jump on. Is Jess in the back? I'm gonna go ahead and say it for Jess. Jess is in the back, and we've been waiting for Jess to come up. But they just got a raccoon at a Jess out of Jess's house. So okay. So Jess is coming momentarily as these people get her roommate out of her place. In the meantime, we want to amplify that folks are doing really well that have been bailed out, who aren't doing well, who continue not to do well. And this just shows you the nature of the white supremacist system as the people who are in jail. We're not talking about prisons. We're not talking about people who've been found guilty. We're talking about the people who are calling us every day because they continue to try to mix the dorms of the people who do have COVID in with the other folks who don't have COVID. And mind you, a lot of folks had already been in jail by the time COVID came into the jail. So the COVID came from outside and not by most of the people that were being arrested. Um, this is something that's really troubling folks, especially for folks who haven't been tried or who haven't done very much violent offenses. And so they're extremely worried. They're calling every day. If you'd like to volunteer to answer these phone calls for us, to take down their information and just give updates to the COVID piece, we're putting it all together in a media kit to ask for the jail to be emptied and for folks to go to trial and just get things done. We had another lawyer call us yesterday, extremely frustrated. They have someone who's been in jail for 9 years. This is just jail. Still hasn't been convicted of the crime, and they won't even let him post bail by another company because they don't know if they know him for real or not. And I'm just like, this is the system, right? Like, as if they care. So we just want folks to be able to get the justice that they deserve one way or another. That also looks like getting with Jess, Shelton, or Kanisha and getting in touch with, and Missy's on here too earlier, getting in touch with the victims' families and stuff so we can see what support looks like, especially because it is a violent crime. We do get in contact with everyone in our community and make sure that they have the things that they need. So volunteer opportunities are bound to be on the hotline, but also support services and needs. We will detail what fundraising looks like. Okay. Hold on one second, y'all. Jess is asking us not to hurt her, laugh at her pain. Is Missy still in the back? And Shelton? But I guess, Rebecca, go ahead and detail about the data while we're waiting on Jess. We don't have to be in silence, so.
Yeah, we've got big moves on our data. We have a lot of data because we've been keeping data not only on folks that are calling in and asking, requesting bond payments, but also on COVID and protest arrests. So we are moving all of our data to a new platform where it will all be in one beautiful place. And that's what we're working on with data right now. And we're also doing Court Watch, which ties into sort of the prisons and policing and how that is a naturally racist system. And we've been watching some judges in circuit court that are coming up for reelection in 2022 and capturing what outcomes they're giving to folks, and if there's a difference in outcomes that they're giving to Black folks and outcomes they're giving to white folks. And we're also sort of tracking, in courtrooms, there's a lot of downtime and there's a lot of banter in that downtime. So we've been focusing on what's happening in those times. And if folks want to get involved in that we're definitely building that out and getting teams watching it. We had a team that watched it this morning and it was very enlightening. And we've just been kind of working towards collecting what we can to help push within the system and help push our legislators, and our where we're going.
Yeah, so while we update on that, I think also paying attention to our homies. Illinois just passed an entire statewide in cash bail. The hashtag is in cash bail. Hashtag free them all for the amazing work of tons of immigrant freedom and community bail funds. Really throwing down and getting folks not only just free but transforming our communities, making sure that we're not tied to the system, we're not tied to the nonprofit complex, and just getting free. Oh, I did want to update, like it has to take our accountant to get all these things together. Um, Over 300,000 folks donated to us last year in that moment. And the way we've been able to just maximize that support has just been like amazing. Finding folks who are really ready to throw down and do the work and organize has just been outrageous. And just coming up with like so many new things to see. I can't wait for I think February we should be done with a lot of the data, but it's just been amazing to like see this work. It's been frustrating as hell and stressful. I'll say that. But it's just been amazing to like watch how everything has been moving and furthering along. We've also picked up some movement foundations who have been particularly trying to support us and maintaining the work and getting some new things uh, picked up. Jess's best friend has left the apartment, so Jess is coming soon. Oh, hey, Jess. Hi, glad of you to join us. So you can switch me out with Jess. Am I not-
Hi, everyone.
Hey,
There we go. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about support, right, Rebecca? Okay. So I'm a part of the support team. Support looks a lot of ways. Ideally, we want to get to people and their families, like right after the arrest happens. So support on my end looks like reaching out to the person that has engaged the system, figuring out specifically what they need. Is it services? Are there barriers to them getting services? It's not as simple as saying, like, okay, someone just needs to work and that's going to get them income, and the income is going to keep them from, engaging activity that could keep them out of jail. If you don't have certain things like a high school education, that could be a barrier to you receiving employment, or it could be a barrier to the types of employment that you get. Um, so sometimes someone, instead of course, people need income, people need access to basic resources, but also you need access to resources so that you can engage those other resources. So, for instance, if you were in need of a high school diploma because you're interested in obtaining a particular skill set or maybe engaging a certain training program, we would want to get you connected to that program first, and having those conversations of, yes, you might have goals of achieving, a certain salary range, or you might have goals of becoming an entrepreneur, but how can we assist you and kind of walk alongside you so that you can be successful in your eyes? Also speaking with people so that they understand what support in there looks like. Sometimes people might think that they don't really have support, or that they don't really know how to use the supports that are open to them. So speaking with families as a whole can be helpful. Speaking with people who have upcoming court dates and making sure that they know, not only are we here like from like a social work standpoint, which I even hate that word. We're just going to call it community work, not social work, because social work, that's a whole nother, series. But from a community work standpoint, making sure that they know that as a whole, we're here as a support team, making sure that people have access to mental health services, whether that's traditional therapy services, or maybe being connected to a community center that offers like art classes, digital art classes, or digital coloring classes once a month. So really getting to know people, having an understanding of where it is that they would like to be, and letting them tell us in their own words what success looks like, and in their own words what support looks like. And I think that's probably the most important part of interrupting this system that just comes in and says, okay, based on, evidence-based reports or studies or statistics, this is what we know is going to work for you. So instead of giving like just a blanket approach to things, making sure that we're personalizing things and making sure that people know, like, it's not just a checklist. I'm not just going through a checklist and just asking 47 questions and putting it on a sheet and then sending it off to lawyers, making sure that people understand and really feel empowered and in control of what support looks like in their lives, so that they can self-empower themselves going forward and carry that forward in court as well. So I'm really excited because there are from some of the conversations that we've had, some people have suggested things to me that I wouldn't have engaged. Social and community work that I'm still unlearning. So yeah, and to be a part of the team, be supporting the team and just seeing innovative ways that we can continue to push people forward and to support them as, they kind of transition from this system into where it is that they would like to see themselves. Do you have any questions? Sorry, Rebecca or Janelle, are there any questions that I can answer from you all specifically, or any questions that were submitted in regards to support?
Yeah, I am curious, participatory defense, and that when we are able to help folks, especially with those higher bonds, those like 10,000 and 15 that aren't necessarily meant to ever even really get out before pretrial, like what does the impact of our helping and support help with that defense?
I think that for the higher bonds, and for people who might have to engage the system a little longer before they're able to come home, support can look like making sure that they're taken care of wherever they are, and making sure that whatever's happening in their lives outside of this situation is taken care of. So have a few people who have newborn babies, do the babies have what they need? Does the caregiver of that child feel supported as you're handling, court appointments and possibly still being incarcerated? Because it can take you away from family. And even if you've been incarcerated and have come to that system, having to travel back and forth to court can be draining on people. But there are additional resources for them, making sure also that they're taking time for themselves, and that we're not just defaulting or leaning into like a capitalist narrative where it's like you have to be productive, you have to be doing something. Yes, we want to make sure that people are building on, skills, and that they are staying engaged, so that there's not, so that there's less of a possibility of them engaging other activities that could land them back inside of the carceral system, but also making sure that they know, like, outside of capitalism and outside of this system, you still have to take time for yourself. What are your hobbies that you enjoy doing? What are your hopes? What are your dreams? What are your goals? And those don't always have to be tied to capitalist values or in way dollar or on. Someone shared that they were interested in painting and ended up finding like a community painting class that was randomly offered for free. And they just followed up and were like, hey, thanks for this. It wasn't something that I thought that I would be interested in trying, but now I know, like, when I need time for myself, either before or after court, I know that this is an activity that I can do to kind of relieve myself of some of the anxiety, because it is an anxious process, having to be told, where to show up. And the court systems right now are happening electronically, and it can be a task. There's a lot of waiting. There's a lot of patience that's involved. You might be on, I've done court watch, and I've been on court watch for a few hours before I've heard a community member's name that I was familiar with. So knowing that, you're just waiting for your case to be called, and that case is being called in front of other people who are on the line who aren't necessarily attached to you or your community or your life, and finding ways to kind of manage that stress and anxiety so that it's not passed on to the people who are supporting you in your life. Is that helpful, Rebecca? Because I ramble.
I know. We did have one question in the comments about how we're training right now. We are training totally on Zoom. We do have an occasional retreat for folks that we have bailed out. Then that will gather in person, and they take all precautions necessary. And then if we have a team meeting in person, we also take all precautions necessary and keep it very small. But for the most part, everything we're doing right now is on Zoom. And as Jess just mentioned, all of court is in Zoom. It's like the whole world is Zooming right now. So that's what we're doing. And we have a training coming up on February the 6th. We've not nailed down a time for that. Join our Facebook group. We'll make sure that all the information for that is in the Facebook group. And then there's a number on the phone, on the screen right below now that you can text. That's our hotline number. If you're interested in getting plugged in before the 6th, you can text that number. And especially like Court Watch, we're doing a group Court Watch next Friday that everybody's welcome to join. So we'll watch together for an hour and then debrief, because it's a confusing system. So we have to figure, it's a system that we're not supposed to understand. Like it's designed that way. So we want to help everyone to understand it and share our knowledge. So we're doing that. And we'll be live again in 2 weeks on the 29th.
Yeah.
At 3 o'clock, we're going to talk about the prison industrial complex. And really, it's the prison systems right now, and the prison industrial complex is a money-making machine. And there are people getting very, very rich off of it right now, and very rich off of enslaving bodies and keeping people in jail. So we're going to dive into what that looks like next week, or 2 weeks from now.
Oh, yeah. I would definitely encourage everyone who can, even if it's an hour. I think the people might see or might assume the intensity of our work and be like, well, I don't have enough time to devote to it, or it can't be consistent. But I think that if you have a week and came and volunteered, you might be able to create some additional time in your schedule. Or you who does have additional time to devote to volunteering, because it's necessary. And there are things that I've come away with that I didn't know before. Abolition is a process and it's an ongoing study. So none of us have all the answers. Some of us might feel more rooted in being comfortable in speaking about abolition, but there's still a lot of different facets to all the parts of the system that some of us might not be as familiar with. I know for me, I came from a family court social work background, so I'm more familiar with family court and how that impacts our communities, the criminal and civil side. So it's been interesting to see the differences there and seeing the impact there as well. But yes, if you have an hour in your week, or if you can take PTO, or you're a college student, especially if you're a college student and you're studying criminal justice, psychology, or social work, this is an opportunity to get some of that real life experience that you're just not going to get anywhere else. I would even say with just like a standard internship, it'd be rare to be able to get the experience of connecting with an organization who's doing this work day in, day out, and in the ways that we are doing it. So if you have any time, feel free to, volunteer with us. We would love to have you. We would love to teach you. Any questions that folks have, everyone is extremely welcoming and happy to answer any questions that you have. But if you got the time, we need you. So come on.
I love it. I'm sold. Sign me up. Shelton, did you or Hakeem have anything left that y'all wanted to toss out there and grace the world with your knowledge?
If I could just add kind of a last thought, it's just simply that the listeners that are on this call are contributing to the solution. And folks that aren't in these spaces, even if they're not directly part of the criminal justice system, they're still contributing to it because they're not doing anything to challenge it or to reimagine it. And so their tax dollars are going to continue to go to bolster it, and it's going to continue to grow and grow and grow and balloon and destroy Black and brown communities. So I want to encourage your heart. Thank you for being on this call. Please share with others that might not have the privilege of this knowledge, so that we can really expand this work and really abolish the destruction to Black and brown communities. So thank you.
Thank you, Shelton. And I think we'll call that the end of our live and end on such a beautiful note. So everyone have a wonderful day, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks.